Okay, so where did I leave off? I promise y'all better enjoy the shit out of these motherfucking readings because I'm running out of all kinds of phone space and shit making these motherfuckers. So y'all better fuck with them. But anyway, Nisha is drawn to these situations because of her history, her familial history, everything that though that time when she was supposed to be nurtured, she didn't receive any of that. Instead, she was involved in a cult environment, and you know, things happen in those situations. She was probably physically and sexually and mentally abused, financially abused. Any little bit of money she probably could get, would get, or might have had, they probably took it from her. You know, there's a lot of self-doubt that is present within Nisha, and she fights with herself often because, again, I'm not saying that she does not speak up for herself. I'm not saying that she's tender dick, but I'm saying that that self-doubt and that fear of being alone leads Nisha to lie to herself and conflict with herself a lot, because she knows that a lot of this shit that she's receiving, this treatment from this dude and from Jazz and from other people as well, she knows that she's being a fucking doormat. She specifically knows that in those two relationships, that situation with the dude and the living arrangement she has going on with Jazz. Okay, she understands that there is some disharmony and some imbalance going on. She knows that Jazz is materialistic as fuck. She knows that this guy that she's with is basically a chauvinist. She knows that there's a lot of toxic energy surrounding her when it comes to these interpersonal relationships that have to do with her, okay? And she may not be aware of that. She might believe, oh, this is how other people are treating me, and she's allowing it to overwhelm her. But again, she won't speak up and say nothing. Finally, after 20 years of fucking on the same man who done... Girl, she been the motherfucking side chick throughout, or the chick that's been in waiting for this dude for 20 years, okay? She done skipped over 20 years of dick for this one dick that's been playing in and out of her life, which is why Jazz knows she can play with her too, okay? But Nisha will never speak up on none of this shit, which allows her to lie to herself about the nature of these relationships, okay? Allows her to make these dumbass solutions really quickly because she does not want to be left out of anything, okay? She completely fears, okay? Fears being on the outside looking in, okay? She fears being alone. She fears not being a part of some type of circle, and that's about that damn growing up in that damn cult, okay? So she kind of has a possessiveness about herself when it comes to these specific people in her life, okay? If you try to tell her some shit about Jazz, she's gonna most assuredly reject it, okay? She feels like Jazz brings her grounding, when instead Jazz is walking all over her insecurity, okay? She's walking over the fact that she knows that Nisha doesn't care much about herself. Nisha sits in her head a lot. She has fights in her head a lot. She might be one of those people that, you know, like Issa Rae used to do in Insecure, would be having them damn moments in the mirror, but she really ain't saying the shit. This is what Nisha does a lot, or at least her cards feel like this is the energy she gives, but she would not dare do that, okay? She would rather allow these people to take advantage of her and walk all on her, repress her and oppress her, and, you know, be ruthless and dishonest with her. Like, just step all on her, treat her like shit, as long as she's a part of the crowd, long as she's not being, you know, rejected from anybody, because rejection would break her goddamn heart, okay? She ain't worried about this imbalance. She ain't worried about that. She's not worried about the failures that are happening in her self-esteem. She is not worried about... She's not worried about Nisha at this moment, okay? As long as she's being accepted, she's going to continue to allow these extremes to happen in her life. because it would just break her heart to not be Jazz's friend, or what she's perceiving is being her friend. Because I feel like Nesha know that Jazz don't really fuck with her for real. She's got to know that. Like, there's some secrecy, like something that she's holding on to. She's refusing to speak on it, but she's got some issues with Jazz too, okay? There's some emotional issues there, like maybe she's feeling finally that she needs to stand up for herself. You pay all of the fucking bills. You take care of Jazz's fucking child. You make sure that household is clean. Like, there is too much going on. But she won't allow anybody else to point that out. She's got to stop martyring her fucking self and come up out of this self-pity role that she's in. Like I said, when she went to dinner with Jazz, she allowed them people to step on her and make her do some shit. Because deep down, she felt like they probably talking about me, or they gonna probably talk about me. And they probably did. Okay. That insecurity. She knew, they knew that was there. That's how they knew that they too could bully her, because Jazz been sitting her ass up over there talking about how she treats Nesha. But like I said, they're not really friends in the first fucking place. There is some type of disaster that's going to happen between the two of them, or some type of fallout, something that needs to happen, some type of upheaval, some type of whatever that leads Nesha to the point of realizing that she's in a space of blocking her own happiness. But until she reaches that point, she will continue to be kind of had that fucked up attitude, y'all say she got, okay? Being not antisocial, because she's not antisocial, okay? But after this situation happens between her and Jazz, or this fallout, because it's coming, okay? It's coming, and it's going to happen via the internet, because they both are on the internet now, and people are choosing sides, and they know that, okay? Nesha's going to find her tribe, and Jazz is going to find hers, and kaboom, there goes the damn dynamite, okay? But this needs to happen because Nesha needs to see that she needs to start believing in herself more and pouring that energy more into herself versus taking care of this fucking child. Not like saying it like fuck this child, but taking care of this fucking child that belongs to your lazy ass roommate, okay? If Jazz won't take care of her child, not saying let her starve, let her be dirty, none of that, but you are not her mother, okay? And until you realize that this is too much, that you're being overloaded with too much, that belly gonna keep hanging in front of you, baby. Okay? Until that self-doubt is gone, you will continue to receive much of the things that you're receiving, baby. Okay? That imbalance, all of that shit within these situationships that you are experiencing, these will continue to go on. But on the other side of things, let's go to the other side of things. If Nesha takes control of the situation and decides, you know what, I'm not getting ready to let these people keep manipulating me and fucking me over this barrel, you know, things will turn around for her. There's a balancing act that'll happen, or some balancing that will happen, because she's very resourceful, okay? And Nesha can adapt to many situations really quickly. And the beautiful thing about her is she is flexible when it comes to, okay, well, let me do plan B. Okay, well, what's the next plan? Like, what's the next option? She does that a lot with her dealings with Jazz. So I know that she can bounce around and make herself malleable if she needs to be. Okay, she's overly malleable now because she can be used by anybody that plays like they care about her. But I think that because she's an agreeable person, this will go far for her. And if she realizes that she is enough, she too will find her tribe. She will find the people who will pour into her in the same way that she poured into Jazz and Jazz's daughter and everybody that she's allowing to get over on her, including that dude. She will be okay, but she's definitely going to have to get some therapy and recuperate from this so she can move forward. Like I said with Jazz, Nesha too has success in her path, okay, from this situation, because again, they're going to fall out, okay? They might still be on TV, but we might see a spinoff showing that They each have their own apartment, probably living in the same apartment complex, because they will still remain attached to each other, but they'll be doing their own thing, okay? Not only that, there's some type of emotional grounding or just stability, period. This isn't always just money when it comes to people with their emotions. Nisha could get to the place where she becomes emotionally grounded, y'all, okay? There could be, like I said, she could find her tribe, and in her tribe, they accept her for who she is, and then she begins to grow and begins to be honest with herself, and those opportunities begin to roll in for her. But finally, this only happens when she separates herself away from the things that emotionally don't serve her, such as this friendship with Jazz and this situationship with this dude that has been going on again for 2 fucking decades. Stop letting this man play in and out of your fucking life. Like, she will find people who... She will find her tribe, but she's going to have to move out, okay? She's going to have to move away from Jazz. Again, they'll probably move apart, but they'll be 2 doors down from each other, okay? Some type of shit like that, because they'll be still close, and she'll still be cool with Jazz, but it won't be like it was, because she will have found her own voice, and she will find her own grounding. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen immediately in the future, whatever, but it will happen in the future if she chooses this route, okay? If she chooses to, yes, go on her diet. There are some things that she can stand to fix. Like, I agree with y'all when y'all say that she's a little pessimistic about dieting and she's 420 something pounds. Yes, baby. Yes, baby. Okay? Let's not be delusional about the thickness of that neck. Okay? And I'm not shitting on Nisha at all, but sometimes we need to stop being delusional, okay? And I can't say those things and then accuse Jazz of doing and being mean to her, but Nisha needs to come back to reality, okay? And the moment that she chooses to come back to that reality, she too will share in some of that spotlight that Jazz is getting. She's going to get it anyway, but the more she pours into herself, the more other people will pour into her, because she's very talented. She's a makeup artist. She probably can do some hair, you know. She's probably fun to be around. Things like that will begin to open up more for Nisha if she pours into herself and she sets goals. I noticed that she has a schedule, but she doesn't really set goals for herself. She'll do that for Jazz, okay? She'll pour into Jazz like that, but she won't necessarily pour into herself. But she'll find her people. She'll find her tribe. She will find those that will support her for real, that will probably help kickstart her into her own weight loss journey. Maybe it'll happen later on in the show. I don't know. But we're going to keep watching, and we're going to keep pulling these cards on Nisha and Jazz, because I promise y'all, this show, these two ain't friends for real. They ain't friends for real. This is for TV, okay? But I think that Nisha is more invested in the friendship than Jazz is, okay? I think that, like I said, it benefits both of them in this situation, but eventually they're going to come up and they're going to be doing their own thing. All right, y'all.